Today we're going to talk about counting your steps and the health benefits of walking. So even if it's only adding a little bit more walking or a few more steps to your daily routine, that can make a big difference. And then we're going to talk about how you can use the Google Fit app to count your steps and to challenge yourself to walk maybe a little bit more. So what are some of the benefits of walking? The National Institute of Health reports these benefits, that it can lower your risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes, strengthen your bones and muscles, help you maintain a healthy weight. It can improve your mood. I definitely find that to be one of the benefits of walking. If I'm in a bad mood or feeling kind of down, going on a walk definitely helps me, even in the short term, and can also contribute to a longer life. So contributes to longevity. I'm sure a lot of people have heard you need 10,000 steps a day. If you have a Fitbit or something like that, that might have been the automatic goal that was put in. I want to emphasize the fact that 10,000 steps a day is great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all, but you shouldn't be thinking that if you don't get 10,000 steps a day, you're not getting any health benefits out of walking. You're getting lots of health benefits, even if you get as little as 2,300 steps per day. So don't think that it's 10,000 or nothing. Just a little bit of walking can get you a lot of benefits. So research has shown that taking 2,300 steps per day can reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease. That's about a fourth of what we think of when we think of 10,000. At 4,000 steps a day, just a little bit more, the risk of death from any cause falls significantly for you. So your risk of death is lowered with those 4,000 steps a day. And then every additional 1,000 is a 15% reduction in risk of death. You can even add 500 steps a day and reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease. So again, it doesn't have to be 10,000. If you can do 10,000, that's great. But you can hit these other like milestones and get lots of health benefits from that as well. And another good thing to think about with this is you don't have to walk at any particular speed to get these benefits. You're not having to speed walk. You're not having to run. These statistics that go with this are just about getting those steps at whatever pace is comfortable for you. So that's great news. It feels more accessible than it might be otherwise. And one of the reasons that we're talking about counting steps as opposed to some other forms of exercise, all of which are great, it's just that it's one that's relatively simple and straightforward to track. So if you're counting steps, you can see how one day compares to another, what your total step count is over the course of a week. It's just one of those that's a little easier to track than some of the others, especially using technology that we have now. And one of the things about this too is that you can set goals. So once you figure out what your regular step count is per day, you can say, oh, I want to add 500, 1,000. And it's relatively easy to see those changes over time with things like the Google Fit app, which is what we'll look at. So how do you count your steps? You might have a Fitbit, you might have another wearable device that tracks your steps. That's great. We're going to talk about one that's just accessible to anybody that has a cell phone. If you have your cell phone on you, it will track your steps for you. There's a couple that I put on here that might actually already be on your phone, depending on what kind of phone you have. So there's a free pedometer app. There's Samsung Health if you have a Samsung phone. And again, these are probably preloaded onto your phone. It's just a matter of identifying where they are. And then Apple Health if you have an iPhone. You can use any of these, and these will all count your steps for you. The one we're going to talk about today is Google Fit. And the reason we're going to talk about that is because A, it's free, and B, it is available to Android phones and iPhones. Universal in a way that some of these other ones might not be, but they're going to function quite similarly. This is just another option in addition to one you might have on your phone right now. So as with all of our apps, we're going to go to the Play Store or the App Store. So you're going to look for that on your phone. If it's an Android phone, it's going to be a Play Store with a little triangle on it. If it's an iPhone, the App Store, it looks kind of like a blue A. And you're going to go in there and you're going to type in Google Fit at the top. And what you should see, you might see one before this that is not Google Fit. You want to look for the one that looks like this heart with the multiple different colors, and then click on install. And once it installs, it'll have a button that says open, and you want to click on that. So the first thing you should see from here is it'll ask you if you already have a Google account. If you have a Gmail account, then that's your Google account. It's the same thing. You see my smart email address there. So it should pop up with whatever Google accounts you have. You can select the one you want to use. If you don't have one, it will let you make a new one, but it'll prompt you to make one if you don't have one that pops up. But I do, so there's mine. So I just click on that. Then it's going to ask you some questions about your gender, your birthday, your weight, your height. The reason it's asking you this is because it'll do things like calculate how many calories you've burned, and some of that is dependent upon these things. And even your steps, like how long your step is, might be dependent upon your height. So it's just helpful for them to know this. You don't have to answer any of these things, but I think it will be much more accurate if you do. So I went ahead and did that on mine. I'm just going to show you how to do that. that. I wanted to point out this too, because I think it's good. So when you click on gender, they give you the option to do male, female, or rather not say, or you can add a custom gender. So if you identify in another way, you can add that in there as well. So it's very inclusive in that way. And then you can put it on only you so that all of the gender information, any of that information is just seen by you and not anyone else. And that's what I did. If you wanted to share it with someone else, you certainly could. But for the purposes that we're doing it on here, it's just for our own information. So I would leave it on only you just for that data. Once you've entered that information, your phone will ask you if you want to turn on activity tracking. So that's the technical end of this, the mechanism in your phone that can do things like track your steps, or you see the person riding a bike, so they could track that you're riding a bike. You want to turn this on in order to count your steps. This isn't like your maps or anything. This is just movement. Like this isn't mapping the location that you're on. It's just, are you moving or not moving? So you're going to click on turn on, and then it'll ask you again, and you'll click on allow. And then you'll be asked to set your activity goals. What is it that you're sort of reaching for here? And you can make up your own, or you can use one of theirs. First, it'll say, let's set your activity goals. It'll tell you how they're going to track those goals. So by heart points, that the amount of time that your heart stays above a particular heart rate, and then by steps. So how many steps you take. You're going to say next, and it'll give you the 3 preloaded options. My suggestion, especially if you're new to this, is to start with this lowest one. Like we said, even half of that amount can get you health benefits. I think you can go in here and change it too if you want it to be lower than that. If you want it to be higher than 10, you'll be able to change that later as well. And I'll show you how to do that. But for now, just choose one of these levels and hit set goal. And then you'll see a screen that looks something like this on the left. It tells you a bunch of things. We're focusing on steps, but it can tell you a lot of different things. It can tell you how many miles you've gone, how many minutes you've been moving that day. Remember, in order for this to be tracked, you have to have your phone like in your bag, in your pocket, on your person some sort of way, so that it can tell that you yourself are moving. It'll move with you. So just keep that in mind. If your phone is just sitting on the counter, it's not going to count the steps that you take across the room. But if you have it on you, it will count it. So this is the blank screen before I started doing anything. But once you start walking, you'll see that your steps start going up and your heart points start going up. Heart point, again, is when you get your heart rate above a certain level that it calculates, and these will go up as you go along. And once you hit your goal, this circle will connect at the other side and go boom, and they'll congratulate you on reaching your goal. So to change your goal, if you don't want it to be at that particular set one that you did at the beginning, you're just going to click on the little person at the bottom. That's you. Click there, and then it'll give you your profile, and then it'll give you a drop-down menu for activity goals. So you can change that from there. If you want to bump it up or knock it down a little bit, just make it something that's reasonable for you. And then once you do that, so let's say I said I want to do 6,000 steps a day. I've been doing 5,000, doing good at that. Now I want to do 6,000. So I put in 6,000 steps here, and then I'm going to click on set goal. So just make sure you click on that set goal button to make that update. So your new goal will be 6,000 steps or whatever it is you set it to. And here are just some tips, like how can you make walking and getting steps part of your daily life? Just work slowly, add a few extra steps every day. You don't have to do this all at once. You can get used to it as you go. And in a lot of cases, that's probably good, especially if you're dealing with any sort of health issues. You want to listen to your body and make sure that you're not hurting yourself or not pushing yourself too hard, but add a little along the way. Try and work steps into your routine, indoors and outdoors. Sometimes I run in place in my house to get my steps. You can do chores and get a bunch of steps. Sometimes when I vacuum, I get a ton of steps. Or if you are taking the train or something, if you can go one stop away and walk a couple blocks, that's great. That's a built-in way to get some extra steps into your day. Make it fun. Go out and look at the flowers blooming. Like, do something that's fun that requires you to go outside and walk, or listen to music while you're running in place at home. I do that too. Just add an element to it that makes it feel like it's not a chore. And then walk with friends. It's really nice to walk with someone else, to talk. I find that it's easier for me to talk and have conversations when I'm walking. It's a really good way to just get outside with other people. So get yourself a buddy or two and take some extra steps together. You can also always join us at the walking group. We walk together. It's very fun. And you can get a good amount of steps just in that little period of time.